Hello and welcome to The Piping Show. I'm John Mulhearn. If you've been following our content online, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us reach more and more people. In today's show, I'm going to be having a chat with an old friend of mine from Canada, Andrea Boyd. But right now, over to Helen with the news.
The 2023 BBC Radio Scotland Young Traditional Musician of the Year Award was awarded on Sunday the 5th of February to pianist Amy Lawrenson from Shetland. Congratulations to her and piper Ailish Sutherland and all the other finalists for a great event. The inaugural Sky Rickendorfer Memorial Challenge took place on Saturday the 4th of February in Minnesota. This event was won by Bill Zadra. It's a wonderful tribute to a great man who passed away sadly last year. Good luck to all the competitors in this weekend's upcoming CLASP Live Online contest. We hope you all have a brilliant day from wherever you're playing across the world. Last week, the National Piping Centre launched a brand new school, the Surrey Piping School. It will take place in Gordon School in Woking from Friday the 31st of March to Sunday the 2nd of April. If you're in or around the London area, it's a fantastic location for you, and it's also only 20 minutes from Heathrow Airport for anybody in Europe who would like to fly in. To find out more and register now, go to www.thepipingcentre.co.uk/learn.
Hello there. With this week's Canadian guest, I thought we would look at a Canadian item from our collection. This is the trophy from the 1973 Intercontinental Pipe Band Championships held in Toronto, Canada. The contest was won by the Red Hackle Pipe Band from Scotland. In 1973, 25 bands competed in the Grade 1 event, a number of which were from Scotland. A little bit about the Red Hackle. The band was formed in 1947 by a group of ex-Black Watch soldiers from World War II. The band was originally called the Govan Red Hackle Pipes and Drums, later on changed to just the Red Hackle. The band was one of the most successful Grade 1 bands of its day. Famously, they won every single major championship that there was, except for the World Championships. They placed second in the Worlds 3 times, and as a matter of fact, in 1968, there was a 3-way tie for first place at the Worlds, and due to the ensemble result, Red Hackle ended up in 3rd place. The band was sponsored by Hepburn and Ross Distillery, who had a whiskey that was called the Red Hackle. Charles Hepburn, who is part owner of Hepburn and Ross, was also a Black Watch veteran and a great supporter of piping. He also supported the College of Piping in the 50s and 60s. Hepburn and Ross would go on to sponsor the Red Hackle Pipe Band until 1979, when the sponsorship dissolved. Red Hackle went on to become the Clan Campbell Pipe Band, named for the Clan Campbell whiskey, and then the Brit Oil Pipe Band until they disbanded in the late 1980s. Now, a little bit about this trophy. I mentioned it's from the Intercontinental Pipe Band Championships. The first of these championships was held in 1972, and it was quite a big deal in the international piping community. 28 bands attended, and during the time that this competition was running, a number of bands from Scotland would go over to compete, including the Red Hackle, Shotts and Dykehead, City of Edinburgh, Muirhead and Sons, amongst quite a few others. In 1972, the trophy was won by the City of Edinburgh Police under Pipe Major Ian MacLeod. However, that same year, the Red Hackle Pipe Bands had won Champion of Champions in the RSPBA. In 1972, the Red Hackle also premiered the eponymous 4/4 March, the Intercontinental Highland Gathering. The Intercontinental Pipe Band Championship was a part of the Scottish World Festival, which was itself a part of the Canadian National Exhibition, which is still going on to this day. And one of the big events at the Canadian National Exhibition was a tattoo. And I found some accounts indicating that there were about 33,000 spectators each night over 3 nights for this tattoo. Now, personally, originally being from North America, I think it's quite unfortunate that we don't have any events back in my homeland that brings Scottish bands over anymore. So hopefully something will come out in the next few years that'll entice bands from this side of the pond to make the journey over.
Welcome to the National Piping Centre, Andrea.
Thanks, John.
If it's as if it's needed, really.
I know, it's nice to be back.
Yeah, so I mean, you were a member of staff here
I was.
a number of years ago now.
We were work colleagues.
Yeah, so I mean, you were development officer at the time, weren't you?
That's right, yeah, from 2009 till 2012.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
Yeah.
and I suppose that kind of led to you then going back home to Canada.
Yeah, this is kind of the start of my career in sort of fundraising and sponsorship and events, really, which is what I'm still doing today in Ottawa.
So you've kind of been moving around Canada over the last few years.
I have,
various
yeah.
different
So
places.
after I came back, I left the Piping Centre in Glasgow in October 2012 and moved to Ottawa, and worked at our National Natural History Museum for 6 years, I think, and then decided to move to Toronto to work in a media publishing role. So I was there for 4 years, and but I prefer the lifestyle in Ottawa. So moved back last summer, and now I'm working in municipal government.
Cool, and I guess you've not kind of like took too long to get yourself properly involved in the piping scene again in Ottawa.
Straight away.
Yeah, I obviously seen you coming. So you were appointed pipe major of the Ottawa Highlanders.
That's right. Yeah. So when the word got out that I was moving back to Ottawa, I was approached by the Ottawa Highlanders to take on the role of pipe major, and so it's an interesting time for the band. The band's only a few years old. It was a grade 3 band, and they won Maxville, the Glengarry Highland Games North American Championships last summer in grade 3. So we're promoted up to grade 2 in the autumn. So I'm taking on a grade 2 band for its first season in the new grade, and it's going to be a great summer. There's 5 bands in the grade now in Ontario, which is the most there's been in a really quite a long time. So it'll be exciting and competitive, and can't wait.
Yeah, great. I mean, you've obviously got quite a strong background in pipe bands anyway. You know, maybe just talk us through your journey in pipe bands.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I've been bumping into folk over the last few days who kind of forgot that I had played in Bog Hall before St. Lawrence O'Toole. So played in Bog Hall and Bathgate.
That was your first band in Scotland, wasn't
right.
it? When you would have first been coming over here.
When I first came across, and my first objective coming across was to play in the solos, and I remember meeting you the very first competition.
The Glenfinnan Games.
The Glenfinnan Highland Games in August 2000. And so the objective was to come and play in the solos, but then
2000 and what year?
2000.
2000. That's right.
23 years, John.
Yeah.
And then so I was hanging around Glasgow, just working down the road in the pub Molly Malone's.
Oh yeah.
And some of the lads from Bog Hall came in and said, "Hey, don't you play the pipes? Do you want to come out to the band?" So I ended up going out to play in Bog Hall, and played for 4 seasons with them until 2006. And then I moved to Ireland. Purely because I was out of work visas for Scotland, but I could get a 1-year Irish work visa. So I went to Ireland and then joined St. Lawrence O'Toole. And then when I came back to Scotland, I continued to commute across to band. So played with them from 2007 until 2012. Yeah,
so I guess that's two quite contrasting bands as well, musically and presumably leadership-wise as well, and the kind of structure of the bands.
Absolutely, yeah, really different setup. I mean, you had the Bog Hall band that has been established for years, really a strong training program, teaching program.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that was a big sort of culture of the band, right? Was this sort of feeder system from.
So were you kind of, as a member of the grade 1 band, kind of actively involved with the feeder system? Or?
I wouldn't say I was, because I wasn't living here in the winter time during the band.
Yeah,
I was just coming in sort of May, but most of the players were involved in some capacity.
Okay.
And at that time, actually, Bog Hall had a grade 1 band, a grade 2 band, a novice, and a juvenile band. So it was a huge program, and of course, you know, the Walkers and the Browns, you know, very famous sort of West Lothian leaders in piping and drumming and in teaching, and the band was, you know, it was that kind of family band and the culture of sort of West Lothian. And then in Ireland, the St. Lawrence O'Toole being a band that was established over 100 years ago, and it kind of had worked its way up to grade 1. And of course, with the Tullys being very involved and interested in traditional Irish music, as well as of course Scottish music, definitely had a different flavor in terms of musical approach and the culture. You know, it was much more, I would say, the band and the players much more connected to sort of traditional music and traditional Irish music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, you know, these like quite formative experiences presumably have had some sort of impact on like where you're going to head to now, and you know, leadership style that you'll be adopting. And
yeah, I hope so. I think kind of my musical background, because I'm from Nova Scotia, so I was strongly sort of influenced by a lot of, you know, Cape Breton music, fiddle music. You know, since I was a child, you know, having Capper Cayley, you know, albums in the house, Altan. So I had this kind of blended background of traditional Irish, Scottish, Cape Breton music, and was always very interested in traditional music, and then the influence of playing here in Scotland and then playing in Ireland. So I would say I've got kind of a rounded interest that is, I would say, more traditional and contemporary, but not that. And we'll see what my new medley that I've put together is certainly, I think, a reflection of that mix.
Cool. And I mean, I suppose obviously the role as a pipe major is broader than just the musical side of things as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's funny, I'm bumping into folk here saying, you know, what are you getting yourself into?
Yeah,
and I said, well, they said, you're having fun. Are you having fun? I said, yeah, I'm having fun so far.
It fun?
I said, ask me in August. Am I still having fun? But it's a great group of people. It's a really, really lovely community of players in Ottawa, and then sort of surrounding area as well. So Ottawa, as the capital of Canada, does have, you know, the military, you know, strong military connections in Ottawa. So we've got players from Petawawa, which is about 2 hours sort of west of Ottawa, that come in. They're in the military and they come in. So the pipe sergeant Josh McFarlane is based up in Petawawa, and then our lead drummer Mark Passmore is based down in Trenton, which is sort of about a 3-hour drive down the 401 towards Toronto. So we're pulling from a bit of a geography.
Are sort of inconceivable, really, in a Scottish sense.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of travelling 3 hours to go to a band practice is just...
It's a commitment.
It's not something that we share here, really, I don't think.
It's a commitment in a snowstorm in February, that's for sure.
I bet it is.
So it's a great group of players, and so be a new.
So the band's coming over this summer to Scotland.
No, we're just we'll try to establish ourselves in Ontario first. So just doing the Ontario games this season, and then maybe we'll broaden our horizons to other parts of Canada, and hopefully to Scotland, whether it be the Worlds or a major or the All Irelands or something
slowly
over here. Exactly.
Yeah. I guess so. I mean, you've already kind of hinted there that you know there's several other bands that you would be competing against. How's the sort of health of the piping scene just in general? You know, Ottawa, Canada just generally, or you know, maybe more specifically Ontario, around about. Yeah,
I can speak more to the health in Ontario. I think, of course, everyone is kind of coming out of the pandemic, assessing the state of play and of development, and I think the pandemic definitely affected at the bottom end, beginners, people
Sure.
learning the instrument, people that maybe stepped away from it during the pandemic and haven't picked it back up again. Also, I think people discovered maybe that they like camping and kayaking and doing other activities
Not
in the
3-hour
summertime,
drives to
and
band
not going to
practices,
beer
yeah.
practice twice a week, and getting in the car and going to the games on the weekends. So I think there's a little bit of that, but people are coming back to it. I'd say the big challenge in Canada, and well, everywhere outside of Scotland really, is that we don't have teaching in the schools.
Sure.
There is some in some pockets. There's a little bit going on, I think, in British Columbia, that Jack and Terry Lee would be very instrumental in setting up. In Nova Scotia, Bruce Gandy, again, has been a leader in setting up relationships with the school boards. But in Ontario, we don't really have that established. So the challenge for us is, how do we sustain learning, bringing new people into piping and drumming.
It must be quite a hard sell in a way to schools and the education system when there's, with the passage of time, the sort of weakening of cultural heritage ties.
Exactly, and I think that what you see still in Ontario is sort of the legacy of many Scots that emigrated after World War II to Ontario, especially to work in sort of factories, so in the in industry in Ontario, and that sort of immigration is not coming from the UK anymore.
Yep.
It's coming from other parts of the world. So Ontario in particular is Canada is a very global country,
Sure.
and welcoming new Canadians every day, but where the Scottish heritage and tradition is perhaps sort of just blending in a bit
I mean,
more,
that's the natural course of things, I guess, isn't it?
it is. So how do you attract people to want to learn, or even to attend a Highland Games?
Yeah.
Right. So where do we perform? What's the future of Highland Games in Canada, and how will they be sustained?
So these are the conversations that are kind of taking place at the moment.
Yeah, and we've got Michael Gray leading the
Yeah.
the PPBSO at the moment. He's doing just a phenomenal job.
Yeah, Mike
and
popped in yesterday. We saw
Oh,
him.
good.
He was, all you Canadians
All the
over
Canadians
here for
are
Celtic
over.
Connections.
But it's something we're really asking ourselves in Ontario is what is the future if we're not? We need to be doing more teaching. We need to be, keeping these traditions alive and at the front of mind for people when they're considering taking up a new instrument. So that will be our challenge. I think that'll be our most immediate challenge in the next sort of 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's clearly something to be thinking about, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And on your own playing, like as a solo performer, I guess we shouldn't sort of brush past that as well. I guess you're kind of
Still at the solos.
still chipping away at it.
Yeah. So
Still feel motivated to do it.
I do, and I think for many people, I think the pandemic probably was a time of reflection about what is meaningful in life and what is important and what do you want to be doing, and of course we had summers where we didn't have any piping or competitions, and there were some online competitions that sort of I played in a few of them just to sort of to have something to work towards. But last summer I definitely enjoyed being back at the games.
You did well around the games as well.
I had a
didn't
good
you?
season around the games. Yeah, a few Piper of the Days in Ontario.
Champion Piper, Andrea Boyd.
So it has a ring to it, doesn't it? So yeah, I had a great season last summer, and looking forward to another season. And I've had some time with Willie McCallum, my tutor, while I've been here, and getting going with the set tunes.
Yeah, I guess you're hoping to get into the gold medal
again. So I've had hopefully I will get in and be back across for Oban and Inverness this summer. But the challenge, I think, now will be how do I do both on the same day, because the way we're set up with the games in Ontario is you do your solos in the morning and then band in the afternoon.
Right.
So I'm going to have to be very organized, John.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you need. It's one thing to just say, well, you could just not do the solos, but if you want to play at the big competitions, you need those runs at smaller events to sort of get match fit, for want of a better expression, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to get the runs in and dust off the cobwebs before August.
Yeah, you just try and get away any wee bits of nerves that'll linger, you know.
Exactly. So we'll see. So that's the plan is to do the work in the winter, so I'll be prepared come summertime. It's what we should always be doing every year, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We say that in January.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, listen, thanks very much for joining us for this. I know you're obviously here in Glasgow for Celtic Connections and out and about. You've been enjoying some shows.
Yes.
So
great variety shows, and there's lots of piping on this year.
Yeah.
Really a piping heavy lineup of gigs. So it's been a treat to be here for gigs and to have a bit of a break from Canadian winter. There's no snow on the ground here, which is a bit of a nice break. But always a pleasure to chat, John.
yeah. No. Okay. Thanks very much, Andrea.
Thanks.